My name is Henry Koivukangas, and I'm Canadian born, uh, brought up in the United States, and moved to Finland. So actually, I've been an immigrant my whole life. I know what it feels like, and I love working with people. That's the main passion, and I think for some, I have a good way of motivating them, getting the most out of people, and most of my clients. I think I can give them a realistic perspective and assess market opportunities, uh, so they have a good chance of succeeding. And probably over the last 5 years, I've had about 3,000 clients. I really don't think I'm that interested in entrepreneurship per se. I'm more interested in helping people. By far, most of my clients who come will not start a company. But if they want, yes, we do make a good business plan and we go through all the details. But I'm more interested in people finding and reaching their goals by motivating them and helping them. It doesn't matter what the goal path is. But yeah, I'm being paid to create, or I was being paid to create companies. So that's been the main focus. So yeah, uh, of course it's interesting. Success stories are nice to follow, nice to see, and nice to talk to old clients. I think one of the big things is you can be your own boss. Uh, and if you're a person who likes challenges, you have challenges every day that you have to face and you have to move forward. You can't relax. Uh, and being an entrepreneur, you become a leader. And once you're a leader, out of your employees, of course, you'll build more leaders. You build entrepreneurships. Uh, and I think entrepreneurs in general, they're a community of their own. They know what they're doing. They know where they're going. Uh, they're real people. They're not politicians. Some get involved in politics, but their politics and their business go, let's say, horizontal with each other. If you have a family, kiss them goodbye. Uh, it's hard to work. And I remember reading one book where a guy said, I only work half a day every day. The rest of the 12 hours I spend at home. And because it's hard work at the beginning. And your goal has to be to hire people. So in 5 years, you're not actually working, but you have other people taking care of business for you. Um, Risks, you have to be willing to take the million euro risk. If not, or 100,000 euro risk. You have to take risks. You might lose everything, uh, but you might gain a lot. And you work day and night. Those are some pluses and minuses. There's research done that people in their 30s succeed more than younger people. But I don't think age matters. I think what matters is the person. An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. And if you don't have the entrepreneur inside you, uh, then you have to go to a good trade school, university, and pick another career path. But entrepreneurs, I think, can be made, but they need good mentors, a good, let's say, what would you call it? Mentoring group. They need a group of advisors, not necessarily the company board, but even outside advisors, people who can talk to, who they can talk to, people who can instruct them, uh, and brainstorm with them. So even if a person is not an entrepreneur, they can make it if they have a good support network. We sit here, I'm retired, right? So I can say anything I want, but I still have to be careful what I say. Uh, I can only speak my own experience. In my lifetime, I've never seen, let's say, let's talk about the millennial generation. So many millionaires under the age of 35. There's many people who have made it or are making it. Of course, they might still lose it all because they're so young. But my generation, no, not near as many. In at least in my people I know, my networks, around at least in 3, 4, 5 countries. No, the young people today, they're entrepreneurs and they're succeeding. And I'm going to just say, not one has an executive MBA or even an MBA. Some might, and some will go at some point to learn more. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you want an MBA, go into financing, accounting. It's a numbers game. You have to know numbers. You can hire the marketers and the sales and other people, but you have to understand where your money's going, where it's coming from, and can you save. I'm split with the university. You go to university if you want to be a geologist, doctor, engineer. It has its place, but most people who go for the MBAs, they're in large companies in middle management or eventually upper management, and it may or may not. I don't see it reflecting to entrepreneurship at all, personally. Well, currently I'm drinking coffee. I'm looking at the amazing scenery of Oulu, the ocean. Beautiful place. I'm retired. What can I say? I have a lot of projects. I love talking about my potato boxes, of course, because that's as low tech as you can get, but it's a lot of money for the factory, not me. Big sales. But then now I'm going to take maybe a month off, a couple months, 3 months off. But no, I have Zawadi, Finland. That's kind of like my baby. And that's basically empowering women through entrepreneurship in Africa, and mainly Tanzania, Kenya. Potato boxes. About 3 years ago, and it's a long story, I'll make it short. Someone asked me if I'd go to Africa to manufacture some boxes. And I said, no, not interested. That was in the spring. Then about September, they said, okay, somebody wants boxes. Is that where you go? I said, okay, let's go. And we flew into Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, and we took a small plane up to the highlands, southern Tanzania. And I looked at the country, the beautiful country. So I won't call them mountains, but big hills, and the Russians call it taiga, tundra, not tundra, what is it called? Grasslands. And went to my first city, town, village, and as we were walking around, all I seen was opportunities. And I thought, with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of teaching, these people can go far. Everybody there is an entrepreneur, everyone. And mostly the women had small shops set up in town, and they were making enough so they could get their food at the end of the day. Nobody was starving. But with a little bit of knowledge, or let's say transfer of knowledge, we've had some real good success stories in like growing sales by 500% and so. I think it's cultural, where women are second class citizens still, for the most part. Even though, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because the Tanzanian president died last week, but the vice president was a woman, so now the first president in Tanzania that's a woman. So that's kind of exciting. But unfortunate, somebody had to die for her to get it. So I hope maybe she can set things into motion, and women is half of the population, and they're not being used to their potential. I think I saw the passion in the women. I seen it in their eyes. They were excited. They wanted to go ahead. They wanted to do better for their family. Uh, I think it was a passion, and the men tended to be a bit more lazy. Or at least the passion wasn't there. But men, of course, run the big industries, and so they're smart. And I also noticed because when we made our first boxes in Africa, the main person in the factory was a young girl, and she was a leader. She wasn't a foreman; she was just a worker, but she knew more than a foreman, and she knew more than a boss. And she's one of the women we helped with a hardware store. Uh, and she knew everything and fixed the equipment in the factory and everything else. Uh, but then I noticed the other guys there, because most were men, but there were a lot of women also, about 100 people. Uh, you only had to tell them once. They learned fast, they picked things up, they had good ideas if they were asked, which of course the bosses necessarily don't ask the workers. Uh, so yeah, they're intelligent people, and we just have to give them an opportunity somehow to help them move them along faster. And Africa's been in pretty much the same state, let's say, for the last 50, 100 years, 50 years, where growth is stagnant. Because the Western countries go there to do good, and they give them money, and they send things, but they don't know what to do with it, and it's used wrong, or corruption, many different reasons. But I believe that Africa has to be built by the Africans themselves. And even now, we're building a program where we built the program where we're going to teach new leaders to lead the growth. And that's the two main areas are the wood industry, sawmills, etc., because that's what we know, and also women. But I think if you donate to Zawadi, Finland, uh, with 1,000 euros, we can get a real business that's booming within 2 years. So, number one, low investment, and you'll make a big difference, not for the entrepreneur, but for the whole relation of the entrepreneur. It's amazing. That's one big difference. Two, uh, I think there's regulations here and there, and I think they're definitely a lot more easier. I confuse regulation in Tanzania and Kenya, but you can make a certain amount without paying taxes, and it might be one or the other or both. I'm not 100% sure. But no, basically, it's like Finland experienced during Corona. Uh, Companies, businesses that did not come up with a new business model to make money, they suffered more than those that did. And so you have to adapt to the conditions of the area, and that's where you work them. And I think for myself and others that go there, it's important. It's not what we know, it's what we can do together. Because there's so much they know about local culture that we really have to listen. I think for the most part, yeah, your mind remains open, even though some will argue with me that my mind isn't open. And it's true with age, you do kind of fall into a trap. But international people will keep your mind open to see. Because let's face it, I don't care who it is, if it's an international person or a Finnish person, uh, everybody's worth listening to because they might have something interesting to say, and you might learn, and you will learn if you listen. I've said it a million times. The most important thing to remember: when I came to Finland in 1985, Probably you were born then. Not yet. Okay. Uh, there are 12,000 immigrants in Finland. So immigration, and today there's, I don't know what, 700,000, maybe a million with children born here. So people have not made a Finnish background. Immigration is new to Finland. It's going to take a generation to get used to having a lot of immigrants and being, let's say, truly international, even though I hate the word. Uh, give the Finnish people a break. They're trying hard. They're getting used to us, and the millennials will change it around. A few more years, things will be beautiful again. And many people have told me in the last 10 years, and especially in the last 5, attitudes have changed a lot. And I've seen it going towards the better. So just be positive and go move forward.